Good morning, students. Welcome all to this online class. Let's start this session with a momentous and valuable thought of Albert Einstein. Intelligent people ask questions. If something doesn't make sense to you, never be afraid to seek clarification. The chapter which we started in the last lecture was the digestive and excretory system. Currently, we are focusing on the digestive system. Before starting, let's take a small recap. The digestive system is composed of certain organs, namely the teeth inside the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and finally the anus. All these organs work in unity to carry out the process of digestion, leading to absorption of nutrients by our body. Next is the digestive system. How the organs are connected, we'll see with the help of this diagram. Here's the mouth, and it contains the teeth, and this mouth opens into a food pipe known as esophagus. Esophagus opens into the stomach here, and this stomach then opens into small intestine. And here it is liver, which releases bile juice in small intestine here, and pancreas, which releases pancreatic juice in the small intestine, which supports in the process of digestion. Then this small intestine is connected to the large intestine here, opens out with the help of anus here. Now the process of digestion. Digestion can be considered as conversion of food, complex food substances into simple substances, releasing the nutrients. And these nutrients are absorbed by our body, releasing energy to carry out the function of daily life. Now, chewing is the first stage of digestion, which is carried out inside our mouth. There are 4 types of teeth, which helps in the process of chewing and grinding of food, and saliva mixes simultaneously into the food, thereby making the food soft so that it can be digested easily, swallowed easily, and digested properly. And it was also recommended that chewing is essential. If not done properly, then it will lead to digestion problems. Next, mouth opens into a food pipe known as esophagus, and the tongue and teeth pushes this grinded food into the esophagus, and the process is known as swallowing. This is esophagus here. And from esophagus, it opens into the stomach here. Stomach, as shown here, is a hollow muscular bag-like structure. And when the food reaches here, it stays here for 4 hours. And since the stomach is a muscular bag-like structure, the movement takes place known as peristaltic movement, and also the stomach secretes the digestive juices and enzymes. All these support in the process of digestion. From stomach, the food is further passed on to small intestine. Up to here we studied in the last lecture. Now we'll move further. Now from stomach, the food comes to small intestine here. It lies between the stomach and the large intestine. This is the stomach and this is the large intestine, and this is the small intestine which lies between the two organs, stomach and large intestine. This is small intestine shown here with pink color. Now the digestion process that is carried out with the help of digestive system. Most of the digestion process is carried out here in this small intestine. And the main function of this small intestine is to absorb the nutrients. After the digestion, whatever the nutrients are released, that are absorbed by this small intestine. Now, as shown in the previous slide, the small intestine is a long coiled tube-like structure, and bile juice is secreted in this, and pancreatic juice is also secreted here in small intestine. The structure of small intestine can be best viewed by this image. If you see here, this is the small intestine here. It represents the small intestine, and this is the liver which releases bile juice in this small intestine here, and this is pancreas here which releases pancreatic juice in the small intestine, and these two juices helps in the process of digestion inside the small intestine. Now we'll go back. So we came to know that small intestine works hand in hand with liver and pancreas. So liver secretes bile juice which is stored in gallbladder, and here the concentration of this bile juice increases. Increase in the concentration of bile juice means that the thickness of this bile juice is increased, that is, consistency becomes thicker, and the function of this bile juice is to digest the fatty food. Next is pancreas. Pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice, and it helps in the digestion of all sorts of food, that is protein, carbohydrate and fat. So while working in companion with liver and pancreas, small intestine carries out the digestion process with the help of the juices that are released by the liver and pancreas, and helps in the breakdown of protein, carbohydrate and fat. Now the next is large intestine. It is the end part of the digestive system. This is large intestine. And the food that remains undigested in the small intestine is passed on to this large intestine. If you remember roughage also remains undigested. So it also reaches the large intestine. And the main function of this large intestine is to reabsorb the water and salt from this undigested food or the food that is not required by the body. One thing is to be noted here that the wall of these large intestine is smooth and contains a mucus lining. And after the reabsorption of water and salt, solid waste is left. And this waste is known as feces. Now this feces moves in this large intestine, and the smooth wall and the mucus lining of inside the large intestine supports the movement of this solid waste inside the large intestine, and at the end it is excreted out with the help of anus here. Now with the excretion of this solid waste with the help of anus ends the digestive system. Now the next topic is need for water. We all know that water is crucial for life, and our body is made up of 70% of water. And the importance of water in the process of digestion is, if there's a lack of water, if we are taking less water, then inside the intestine the food is dried up, which leads to constipation. As you remember, constipation, this term we read in chapter 1, where it means movement of bowel, where the movement of bowel is difficult. So if less water is taken, then it leads to constipation. Then by the lack of water, some other stomach related problems may occur. Further, proper intake of water helps in proper absorption of nutrients in our blood so that it reaches our body. Just we will revise once how the food moves inside a body. This is mouth, and from here, with the help of teeth, it is chewed and grinded and passed on to a food pipe known as esophagus. And from esophagus, it reaches the stomach here. And from here, the food stays for 4 hours, and then it is released into the small intestine here. And here, this is liver, which releases bile juice in this small intestine, and pancreas releases pancreatic juice. These help in the process of digestion inside the small intestine, thereby releasing the nutrients. These nutrients are absorbed by the surface walls of the small intestine, and from where it is passed on to different body parts with the help of blood. And the food which remains undigested, that is of no use of our body, that is wastage, is passed on to the large intestine here. And this from large intestine, the salt and the water is reabsorbed and is known as the solid waste that is left is known as feces, which is ejected out with the help of anus. Okay. Now, the different juices and enzymes that are released in our digestive system are salivary glands, which is present in the mouth and releases saliva, and liver, which releases bile juice. Pancreas is there, which releases pancreatic juice. So these are certain accessory organs which directly do not participate, but they release some enzymes and juices which are released in the uh, organs to carry out the digestion process, supporting digestion in our body. Now at the end, there are certain tips to remember to avoid digestion problems. First is chew the food properly, eat balanced diet, stay fit and healthy by following right eating habits. Now it's time to test your understanding and learning skill. Now the first question is, name two ways by which digestion takes place in mouth. We all know that in the mouth the digestion starts. So what are the two ways by which the digestion takes place inside the mouth? Number one is chewing of food, and number two is mixing of saliva in the food. So these are the two processes which is carried out inside the mouth. Now the next question is stomach is a hollow dash bag-like structure. What will be the answer? It is a hollow muscular bag-like structure. Next question is, question number 3 is, the dash food passes through large intestine. Hope you remember what type of food passes through large intestine. So what will be the answer here? The dash food passes through large intestine. So it is the undigested food. The food that is undigested is considered to be waste and is excreted out with the help of anus. Now the next question is, intake of less amount of water and roughage causes what? I hope you should know it because we studied in the first chapter also and today also. It is known as constipation. Now the next question is, nearly dash of our body is made up of water. So what will be the answer? Nearly dash of our body is made up of water. How many percent of our body consists of water? It is 70% of our body is water. Now I'll end up here. Hope all have downloaded question answers of chapter 2 from school website. Start completing your work as well as start learning too. Thank you and have a nice day.